on the Texas A&M Sports Network. From Learfield, live from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue on Harvey Road in College Station. Welcome to the Joni Taylor Coaches Show, presented by Bud Light. It's for the fans. And by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit Rudy's.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. Now, the Joni Taylor Coaches Show.
And hi again, everybody. Welcome out and Happy New Year. Welcome out to Rudy's Barbecue. We're here on Harvey Road in College Station. A tremendous crowd on hand. There were some hungry folks in here. Goodness. That's great to see everybody. With Coach Joni Taylor, I'm Steve Miller. Great to have you with us. Tonight we're here, I believe, every Tuesday night almost for the rest of the season, I think, except maybe for one. Other than that, we are here and looking forward to talking women's basketball with you. And the Aggies are getting set to take on LSU. That'll be this Thursday in Baton Rouge. 8 o'clock is the start time. You can listen on the A&M Sports Network locally. That'll be Zone 1150, or watch on the SEC Network. And reminder, the Aggies are home next Sunday and pretty much every Sunday in January. This Sunday will be Ole Miss at 2 o'clock. Hoping to see everybody out for that. It'll also be Holiday Hoops pricing for that one. Joni, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
What'd you guys do for New Year?
We had a little basketball game.
Oh, did you? Yes.
Yeah. We had Florida here in town, so we got up, had an early shoot-around. We were there at 8 for shoot-around, and then we had pregame meal at 9, and then you just kind of take some time to get ready, and tipped it off against Florida at 1 and had a really good game, exciting game. Didn't come out with the win, but really, really proud of our team's effort. We're just continuing to improve every single day. And, our message is, how do you measure success when that doesn't always come in a win? We did some really, really good things on Sunday, and we are a much better team now than we were a month ago. And so it's about making sure that we are using the metrics that we have in our locker room to measure our success and continue to get better. And so that's what we did. And then I came home and had a New Year's traditional meal. We have the greens for good luck and the black-eyed peas. And, I'm going to say this on the radio. I know I'm going to get some slack for it, but I do eat chitlins and hog maws and all that good stuff that everybody just see the faces. There they are. So I had a nice little portion of that and then got to work watching film on LSU.
Did you cook this?
No, I did not. I cook I cook twice a year, right? Christmas and Easter. And so I cooked for Christmas. I cooked banana pudding and potato salad.
Oh.
And when Easter comes around, I'll do the same thing. My mom, my dad really, really helped out. My brother came in town for Christmas. He's an excellent chef. I cook really well, but I'm like the black sheep in the family when it comes to cooking because everybody else in my family is like really, really, really good. So they just kind of push me to the side and say, do these two things and that's it.
Do you have any other cooking specialties?
Really, I think I cook everything well. When I was a late bloomer when it comes to cooking because I was always playing basketball. So Thanksgiving, Christmas growing up in my house, I was at a tournament. I wasn't in the kitchen with my mom and dad when they were cooking, and my brother was. And so both sides of our family, there's just some great chefs and cooks. And so I didn't start learning how to cook until after college. So I'm a late bloomer, and they will never let me live it down.
What's your daughter's favorite food?
It depends. Right now, they love steak.
Oh.
They love brisket. Yeah, they have a very expensive palate at times. And then JC loves lemon and pepper wings.
Oh,
yep.
Nice.
And Drew's favorite is just regular, if you just give her some noodles, like spaghetti noodles with no red sauce, she just wants garlic and butter, and she just tears it up. So that's always her go-to.
You said something was different about your team, improved from a month ago. What is that?
I think our pace is better. I think we have a better understanding of what it is we want them to do on both sides of the basketball. I think they've developed a higher level of grit and toughness than we had previously. And so all those things are helping us put the pieces to the puzzle closer together.
Did your schedule help develop that, or was this practice? Is this common? What do you attribute to that?
I think it's both. I think that, number one, you play Duke the third game of the season, right? And so that opens your eyes up really, really quickly. And then you have a chance to come home and play some games. Then you play Rice, who's really good. Then you go play at Kansas. So your non-conference schedule is what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to test you and show you where your weaknesses are, show you where your strengths are. I don't in particular want to play a fluff non-conference schedule because then I know what's coming in January. And shame on us if we haven't gotten tested before then. So I do think our schedule opened up our eyes to some things and created a sense of urgency. But I also think this team is a team that just needs reps, whether it's in practice or in games. We just need as many reps as possible because we just lack experience. And so both of those things have been great teachers for us.
In case people haven't looked at the rankings, you mentioned Duke and Kansas. Duke this week is ranked 19. Kansas is ranked 21.
Yeah.
I mean, that was I don't think anyone is expecting them to be in the top 25. Maybe Kansas, Duke, kind of back where they were pretty quickly.
Well, I mean, Duke beat NC State and Louisville last week back to back. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Yeah.
When you look back at the South Carolina game a week ago, maybe not the way to end the new year, but what did you take away from the game?
We talk about not giving other teams plan A. Right? You know, in this conference, when you play against other Power 5, Autonomy 5 schools, you can't let them have plan A. And plan A for South Carolina is to run in transition and rebound it, and then rebound it again and rebound it again. And we let them do that. We let them get loose on the offensive boards. We didn't slow them down in transition. And you're going to have a long night in this league no matter who you're playing. You know, forget it being South Carolina. No matter who you're playing, if you let them have plan A, it's going to be a long night. And we didn't take them away from that and force them to do anything else. And vice versa, on Sunday we did. You know, plan A for Florida is to shoot the 3 ball. They make 7 threes a game, and it's to run in transition. We took those 2 things away and put ourselves in a position to possibly win the game at home. And so I think they now see the difference in, you know, those two things.
Things were going really well, it seemed, at times against Florida, doing exactly what you were talking about, getting folks out of that plan A. And then you have this really long defensive possession in that fourth quarter, which I kind of lost count. Maybe was there 7 opportunities? How many were there?
Oh, we watched it today, didn't we, Sid? We watched it today in the film room. We were on defense for almost 3 minutes straight. The score was 44-48, and they shot it, got an offensive rebound. Shot it again, got an offensive rebound. We fouled them. They took it out on the side. They got it back, shot it again. We fouled them. We were on defense for almost 3 minutes straight. In a really, really less than 4 minutes in the game, just a really, really and when we went back and looked at it, they were all things that we could control. And so it's about, in that moment, having an understanding of bowing your back and saying, not here, not now. Let's, whatever it takes, no matter how tired I am, we've got to lock in. This is when we've got to go win the game.
Is that the possession that ended in their first 3? Is that how they ended that possession?
Second 3.
It was their second 3. So you do a great job of holding them off the 3-point line, and they were coming out figuring, hey, we got to shoot, going to have to make one eventually. Yep. What gave way on their 3s?
The first one, it was just a tough play. They had been running this overload play to try to lob it over the top. And so Irony was in heavy help. And, the player made a really good skip pass to 5, and we couldn't get there in time to close it out. The second one, Patty ends up on number 5, and you can look at her and tell she's doesn't want to get driven, and so she's starting to back up a little bit, and she just has her hands down, and she just raises up and shoots it over. I mean, we tell them all the time, if it's a shooter, we'll take the 2, not the 3. We can't trade 3s for 2s. And so those were the 2 possessions that led to number 5, Rimball, being the only player on the team. And that's what she does, right? And we were really good keeping her from that until those 2 possessions.
Again, you've got another opponent at Reed Arena that you keep essentially way below what they're supposed to be doing. Does that translate with your team as a success marker?
Well, it was one of the first things. After every game, the next time I see them, whether it's Friday or Tuesday, they have Monday off always. We always kind of button up that game before we move on to the next one. I'm like, so what are your thoughts on Florida? And one of the first things somebody said was, we held them below their average. So they understand what their average is. And, we don't necessarily say we need to keep this to this or less, but we also say, hey, they can't get their average, and so they are starting to have an understanding of those metrics and what those things are that will put us in a really good position to win the game.
What's left unbuttoned from the Florida game?
We're still not communicating the way we need to, and our transition defense needs to be a ton better.
What does communication mean for folks? We talk about a lot of ways to communicate, but what does it mean on the basketball floor?
Just talking what you're doing is what sometimes I say, I don't know what to say. Talk what you're doing. I've got the ball. I've got help. I'm your next. I picked up the ball. You pick up this person. There's several times on film where we just let Florida off the hook because nobody communicates what they're doing. It's really, really hard to play basketball and not talk. Same thing on the offensive end. there may be a time where we just have a brain freeze and somebody forgets what to do. And so instead of standing there and not doing anything, say, hey, come get my screen. Come screen for me. Or reverse it and then come pin down. We just have got to do a better job of opening our mouths and communicating on both sides of the ball.
Coming up on the show, we're going to have Christina Richardson from our basketball staff joining us. And also Sydney Bowles is here as well. We're excited to visit with Sid. And so we've got all that coming up. We're live at Rudy's Barbecue. It's the Joni Taylor Radio Show from Learfield. Basketball and barbecue lovers know the perfect brisket needs the right wood. Rudy smokes all their meats using their delicious signature rubs in 100% oak-fired pits. Get your real Texas barbecue fix today at Rudy's or on the web at rudys.com. We are back at Rudy's here on Harvey Road in College Station. It is the Joni Taylor Radio Show with Coach Taylor. I'm Steve Miller. Great to have you. We've got a great crowd here. Everybody has kind of digested their food already. I see everybody kind of leaning back in here. We'll just make a wake-up check. Everybody's had a good meal here. Plenty of good seats available, but come on by. We're excited to have a great crowd in here. A&M getting set to take on LSU Thursday, 8 o'clock in Baton Rouge. We are joined by freshman guard Sydney Bowles, everybody. Yeah, they are up. They're up. Yeah. Sydney, what's been the best part about coming to Texas A&M?
The best part, I would just say meeting all the new people. A lot of people can just speak for just the environment here. Everyone's really friendly. And that's one thing that I was really looking for a school. So just to have the family environment, not only with the people that I see every day, but just the faces that I see in the stands. It's just a real big family, and I really do enjoy being around that.
And you originally signed with Georgia and Joni and her staff there. What intrigued you about making the move when they were coming to Texas A&M?
One of my big things when I'm looking for a school was my academics as well, and I am an engineering major, and Texas A&M is really good in the engineering department. So when I went and visited the school, it was pretty much a no-brainer. When I went over to the ZAC, spoke with some of their professors, and I was just really excited, to get ready for school and things like that.
There's a couple of whoops that went out there, so let's ask who here is. There's a lot of old Ags here. Some of you older than others, but how many were engineering related here at Texas A&M?
There we go.
Got 2, 3?
Okay.
Yeah, excellent. So some folks to ask some questions to. Yes. What part of engineering intrigues you?
Well, right now I'm in general, but I want to get into mechanical.
Why mechanical?
When I was in middle school, I kind of started off in robotics, and one of the big things that intrigued me was like the building of the robot, less than the coding of it. And throughout my years, I used to get Christmas presents where it'd just be building together a robot and things like that. And so it's just something that really piqued my interest. And I come from a family of engineers as well, so it's just something that I had a lot of knowledge on. And so I was able to ask a bunch of questions. I had a lot of people at my disposal. So
what's your robot done?
I had one that it was remote controlled. It took me a really, really long time actually to do it, but you could get it to walk, and it was a claw. You could pick up things.
Do you want your robot to talk to you?
I don't know about that. Those are a little bit more, not scary, but I guess more like the artificial intelligent kind of things. I have a phone. It talks to me sometimes, so I don't want anything else.
That's enough? That's enough?
Yes.
Tell me. Yeah, some other people started to ask some questions about that AI stuff. That's kind of crazy.
Yes.
What about shooting threes? You've shot more than your fair share here, looking for way more. About three. What's the three-pointer part of your game? Describe that to us.
I think I would just say it's just something that I've been really confident in. And when I was younger, it's just something that I kind of saw that I excelled in. So I used to get up a lot of reps, still do, and it's just one of the things that I think just brings out my game. And one thing that I really think that besides shooting the three is just spacing out the floor. And that's a really big thing, just to, if I space out the floor, I don't even have to, necessarily be on in a specific game, but that just keeps them honest, and I get the bigs more looks, or, a drive. They can't really stop the drive. So just many different things that I can bring to the table just by being able to shoot the three.
I think we've seen in the last couple of games where you've ended up starting the play, essentially being the one for a certain play. Mm-hmm. Do you like that? I like whatever, Joni has me doing. I know that as far as responsibility goes, I'm
I'm in a position where I can do a whole bunch of different things, and whatever she needs me to do, I'm ready to do. So.
We're visiting with Sydney Bowles, a freshman here on the team from Lithonia, Georgia. And you were essentially the best player in the state of Georgia. You know, the stats all show that. You may not have to say that, but we'll say it was the best player from the state of Georgia. What's the biggest difference from high school and the college game for you?
Well, while I was at home, I was just talking to my parents about this, and one thing my dad was just like, because he always asked me, is this what you thought it would be? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I knew a lot of people that were in college, and, you know, they tell you that it's faster. They tell you that people are stronger, people are quicker, things like that. And you see that, but I would just say, like, whatever you think, it's like 10 times more. Yeah, and I mean, when you're one of the top players in the state, it's just more kind of, I was just allowed to do a whole lot of things, and then on offensively, defensively, things like that. Like, there were some games where I was challenged, and we wanted it to be like that. But as far as just overall competition, I mean, when you play teams, you have this kid is one of the top players in the state from Florida. This kid was one of the top players in the state in Texas. This kid was one of the top players in the state from California. So it's just that kind of thing where it's like the playing field is really level. And I mean, I like that. I'm a competitor. So it's just really exciting, you know, to see just other people who are just really good and just want to go out and compete.
When did you realize the pace was that much better after you got on campus here?
Shoot. Well, I knew the pace was that much better probably in practice, just because of a lot of the transition drills that we do. And, you know, we would think we're running, and they're just like, this isn't the speed that it needs to be. And then, you know, you scrimmage, and you're just like, yeah, you're right, this is not the speed that it needs to be at. So, yeah, it's a lot faster. And
was that what Joni was saying to you? That's not the speed you're supposed to be?
Yes, that's not the speed. Or was it harsher?
No? Yeah.
Or the pace, I think. Because you're like up and down, like, yeah, but pace is a whole nother thing. And then just you got to make reads, like, so much more quicker. Like, You'll see a lane, and then just like that, it'll be aware. You'll see a passing lane, and you take one more dribble, it's gone.
What's a perfect play for you?
A perfect play. That's an interesting question. Could you elaborate?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you've got so many plays in your offense. Should they be calling one for you, or one where you end up shooting the ball, or one where you contribute in a different way?
I gotta think. What's my favorite play? What do you think my favorite play is?
Box curl?
I like box curl. That's a good one. That's one with a lot of movement, I would say. Box curl is just one where both the guards are on the block. I get the ball dribbles opposite me, or it could dribble opposite, same side as me. Opposite cuts around to the other block. The other guard replaces, goes off a stagger, and I go through an elevator. So.
Okay, so let's change that into the terms that these folks can understand, because I didn't get half of that.
Let's see.
Where do you end up getting the ball at? Where did you start, and where do you end up at?
I start at the block.
Okay.
So the ball is going to dribble. If I'm on the right block, the ball will dribble to the left wing. And the two bigs are at the elbows, and they're going to come around and screen for me, and I'm going to curl to the left block. And then the guard that's on the left block is going to cut to the right block, and they're going to get screens from the two posts, and they're going to screen up. One thing that happens a lot is if I'm on the left block or the right block and I go through and the posts, they're supposed to set an elevator, and that's just they open up and then they step through and close. One thing that is there a lot is if I leave that block, the guard that got the ball off the first screens has a lane to go because they run me off. So that's one thing that we see a lot as well, which is pretty successful, I'd say. I'm pretty sure we got that in the last game.
And do you end up shooting the ball in this, or you end up?
Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. Like I said, I mean, also one look out of it is if they run me off and I still catch the ball there, I could look in for the post, or like I said, if I run off and they follow me, that's a free lane for the guard to drive. So just whatever I can do to get other people open looks if I'm, not the open look, anything.
You've got a lot of teammates who were injured. How are you helping to lift them up and keep them engaged?
I mean, they do a pretty good job engaging a lot. Just, making sure out of plays. I mean, if I'm out of a play, I'll go and give them a high five, or we just talk just to make sure they're in high spirits. I mean, it's definitely difficult. Everybody wants to play. I mean, it just boils down to that. So just really keeping folks in high spirits, and they're doing their work to get back, so that's never something that I really have to worry about, and I never do. So I know that everybody wants to get back, and I mean, if you look at the bench, they're electric out there, so they're super duper energetic, and we're just whenever they're ready to be back, we'll be ready for them with open arms.
What'd you do during the Christmas break?
I went home and I had some good food.
A lot of food?
Not a lot, actually. I think, no, not as much as I thought I would. Probably not as much as a lot of people thought I would have. But one of the big things when I talk about from home, like, oh yeah, I miss being home and I miss my family, but I was like, man, I miss like my mom's food. So I went home, I went out to eat with my dad, and then like my mom cooked, like she cooked breakfast before I left. She cooked some other meals for me, so I love my mom's food so much. And then we went for Christmas. I went to my family's from Alabama, both my parents. So we went over to Alabama and we had a really good Christmas dinner.
What's the best thing your mom cooks?
I feel like I would be doing her bad by saying it's just one thing. My mom can cook anything, like from breakfast to dinner to desserts. Like, she's amazing. I can't even describe it. And my dad is crazy on the grill. One thing that she does make a lot for people is desserts. So she makes a lot of pound cakes. Right now it's kind of like brownie season, so she makes a lot of brownies. Just
if you're going home, or she asks you to, hey, I'm gonna make you whatever you want, what would you tell her?
What would I tell her? Probably something for breakfast. One of the best breakfast breakfast when I was in high school and middle school was kind of my favorite meal of the day. And on Sundays after church, me and my family would have like family brunch. And so sometimes my mom would be like, oh, what do you want? So I think the best thing that I ever had for brunch was this, like, there is this special bread. This is how you know, like, she's just one of those people that really enjoys cooking. She found this kind of like croissant toast. So it was like really airy in it, and she made French toast with it. And it was one of my favorite things she's ever made. I love eggs.
Was that French toast? Would that make it? Was it really heavy bread at that point? It filled in all the gaps?
It was really light, and it was amazing. I remember that vividly, and it was probably like maybe 2 years ago. But yeah, I really love eggs too, so that's something that I have commonly. And then one thing I really like is turkey bacon. So
turkey bacon.
I like regular bacon too, but my mom will be like, I just bought you a pack of turkey bacons. I actually had that while I was home as well. So yeah.
Any Christmas gifts you want to share?
Christmas gifts. Oh. So one of my cousins on my dad's side, I'm really into like hot tea. And me and my brother, I have an older brother, he's 25. We got into hot tea like some years ago. Like if we're up late night talking until like 2 a.m., we'll just be like, I want some hot tea. We got a little Keurig, get some hot water, boil some hot water in the pan. So I got this tea set. It's like 12 different teas, and it is amazing. I had tried this, like, I brought it back with me. I had to. But there's this acai berry tea that I tried, and it was very good. And
what kind of berry?
Acai, like the acai bowls.
Okay.
So that was really good. When I'm sick, I drink tea. When I'm not sick, I drink tea. When I wake up in the morning, before I go to bed, I drink a lot of tea.
Anybody else in your team drink tea?
I know somebody. Tanea Hilton drinks tea as well.
She drink your tea?
She has not drank my tea before. I think maybe one time in the summer she did, but if you look at it, like when I was in the summer, my family friends sent me like packs of tea, like big boxes. So I have tea to like last me forever. And she has a lot of tea to last her for a long time too. So
that's exciting. Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing everything.
Of course.
We're excited to have you here and enjoy watching you play. And thank you for taking time out to join us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's Sydney Bowles, everybody. We're live from Rudy's Barbecue. It's the Joni Taylor Radio Show from Learfield. Not everyone is a morning person yet, but with Costa Vita's new breakfast tacos, everyone will be. Try our bacon, egg, and cheese, or specialties like the machaca beef and egg, or sweet pork, egg, and cheese. Stop by the drive-thru any day from 7 to 10:30 a.m. Order online through the Costa Vita app or the website. Become a morning person at Costa Vita. All right, we're back at Rudy's Barbecue on Harvey Road in College Station. It's the Joni Taylor Radio Show with Coach Taylor. I'm Steve Miller. Great to have everybody here. A&M going to take on LSU. That'll be this Thursday night, 8 o'clock. LSU is like 7 in the AP and like 2 in the net. They have just beaten everybody, and typically that's the record their coach likes to come in with this time of year, but interesting how the rankings shake out. All right, we are joined by a familiar face over the course of been a decade, I think, or more. God, you're old. Is Christina Richardson. Her title this year, Director of Administration and Special Projects. I had to write that down just to get it all. So you'll have to tell us what you're doing here with Joni's staff and how you're incorporated here.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, so been super fortunate. Came back last year to serve as Coach Blair's Director of Operations, and obviously we all know he announced his retirement, so didn't know what the future really held for me, but Joni came in and just from the get-go just was very upfront and honest with me, and graciously let me stay on staff. So now my role has shifted a little bit, so now I'm more, I'd like to say I'm more people-focused now, so kind of got some of those other things off my plate a little bit, and now I can focus on the things that I love to do, which is the people. So still running our camps for our youth camps in the summer, our Fast Break Club with all of our awesome boosters. A lot of them are here tonight, which I've been really enjoying. All of our former player and former manager events and outreach, all that kind of stuff, our community service, so making sure our team is out in the community and serving the community that gives so much to us. So those are some of my main responsibilities that I've kind of taken on, and I'm just really, really enjoying kind of diving into this new role and having more time to kind of give it my all each thing.
Joni, what did you see in Christina that said, hey, I gotta keep this person around?
So she was around when we came for that. I don't know. I can't even. Such a whirlwind. I still don't know what all happened. But she was around, and she drove us around and helped us get from point A to point B. And you could just tell she was someone who was detail-oriented. Very familiar. Had a passion for Aggie women's basketball, which really just jumped off the page. And I remember sitting down talking to her, and I was like, our Dobo is coming with us. I know that's the position you had. Like, I'm going to try my best to figure out how to keep you here, but I don't know if it's going to work. Let me get back and figure it out. And so I didn't know this story until about a week ago. Christina tells me her version of this story. And so that's what I told her. And then I went back to Athens, went to the Final Four. And so when I got back, I told Chelsea and Meredith, I was like, we got to figure out how to get Christina on staff. And so I text her. I flew out to the Final Four. I had to be there early because I'm on several committees and things like that. And so I text her. It was in Minneapolis. And I texted her and said, hey, looking forward to seeing you here. Bring your winter coat. It's cold. Excited to get you with the crew and get things going or something like that. And that was my way of saying, like, hey, you're on board. And Christina, you can pick it up here and tell how your version of that story.
Well, she made up that excited to get things rolling part, because that part maybe would have been a dead giveaway, but that part didn't happen. It was more of bring your coat, excited for you to meet the crew. So when it comes to your career, it's not really a legally binding offer. So I definitely went to the Final Four not knowing that I had a job, and Chelsea Newton actually informed me that I had the job as soon as I arrived in Minnesota. So and she was like, what do you mean? Joni told you a couple days ago. And I was like, Joni did not tell me. And I showed Chelsea the text, and she's like, yeah, that's what that means. I said, okay. So now 9 months later, I would know that that's what that means. But at that time, I did not know. So fortunate that it worked out that way.
And I didn't know this like a week ago. Like, she was at the Final Four, like, wondering if she had a job. And I'm thinking she's all good and excited and ready to go. I was like, y'all start planning the official visit. And she's like, I don't have a job.
Yeah, Chelsea said, oh, great. Joni said, great. Y'all can start planning the official visit. And I'm like, okay, well, do you think I could get a job first? And she was like, yeah, that sounds good.
The power of text.
Yeah.
Did they see you looking at the job boards of the Final Four? Is that to pick up pace here?
They did. I didn't have time. I walked in the hotel, and the Georgia, now our staff, was the first people that I actually laid eyes on.
Oh,
so,
well,
yeah.
that should have said it right there. That was meant to be. So how difficult is it to keep the former players engaged?
Not difficult at all, and that's a testament to Joni. I mean, everybody's so excited. I know the community's so excited, but that excitement goes through our former players. Everybody has reached out to me. They're so excited. Joni's been great with them. We've already had a couple things on campus, and Joni tells them how important it is to her. Not only does she tell them, but she shows them. So I've done the best I can to let them know that the family that we have all adapted, and the sisterhood is just as important to Joni as it is to all of us. So they don't have anything to worry about. A lot of them are just super fired up, ready to get back for a game. Eventually we'll have reunions, all that kind of stuff. But the former player stuff has just been going really, really well. And again, that's a testament to Joni and the entire staff.
I mentioned and made light that you've been here like a decade, and it has gone by really fast. But you just said you came back last year. Describe to folks what we mean by where you first got started with A&M basketball.
Yep, so I got here August of 2010 as a freshman. Knew I wanted to work with basketball, had no idea what that looked like, didn't know what a director of operation was, didn't know what a student manager was, just knew I wanted to work for a program. So in the end of August, I think August 30th actually, I emailed Coach Blair blindly saying, hey, I want to help out. On September 1st, I had a job as a student manager.
He had email then?
He had email. I don't know who actually responded to the email, but I did get a response. On September 1st, I got the job as a student manager, and 8 months later, we won a national championship. So I got to be a student manager for 4 years, from 2010 to 14. Got to see some of the most successful years in A&M basketball history. So just really, really fortunate to have been here during that time with all of those people that are now my family. And then I moved on to several other schools before making my way back.
What are those schools?
So I went to, a week after I graduated from here, I went up to Siena College in Albany, New York, where I was the director of operations for a year before deciding to go get my master's, where I left and pursued my master's in sport administration at Mississippi State, where I worked with Coach Schaefer for 2 years, which was another really exciting time to be at Mississippi State. Had a lot of success and learned a lot while I was there. Left there, got my degree, went to George Washington University, got to work under Jen Rosati, who's one of the best coaches in the game, best basketball minds in the game, who's become a dear friend, before deciding to come back home and work for Coach Blair in his last year.
During the years when you were with Vic at Mississippi State, where did they, was that the years, both years they made the Final Four? Which years were those?
So my first year was the year that we actually went to the Sweet 16 and had the worst loss in Sweet 16 history to Connecticut, losing by 60. And my second year was when we went to the Final Four and beat Connecticut to advance to the national championship. So I saw quite a bit in my 2 years in Starkville.
That was one in Dallas?
In Dallas, yep.
Yeah. So you've worked for several different head coaches. Is there anything that you go, hey, I take this away from this coach that helps me in my career?
Yeah, I think all the bosses that I've had, one, have been phenomenal, but have very different leadership styles. But I think they all have a lot of similarities, that each person taught me something that then got reinstilled to the next place. You know, Coach Blair taught me the importance of the little things, the details. Every little detail, person, event is important, and it's what separates us from being good and being great. And then I went to Siena, and Allie challenged me to use my creativity. Have a Power 5 mindset at a low mid-major school with mid-major budget and resources. So how do I make the big time where I am? So that was a huge challenge for me, and really, I think, altered my career and made me kind of who I became to be after that. And then I went to Starkville with Coach Schaefer, and Coach Schaefer taught me just work ethic, we're going to outwork everybody, and that's how we're going to be successful, and it worked. And then I went to GW, and Jen is huge on being solution-oriented. So identifying that there's a problem, acknowledging it, but then how quick can you turn it and, okay, now find the solution. What is the solution? And if nobody else is going to find it, we're going to find it, and we're going to make it happen. And then Joni's teaching me things every day, whether she knows it or not, but I think at the top of the list for me is just the importance of being intentional, being your true and authentic self, and just loving, trusting, and taking care of the people around you, and just kind of letting God do the rest.
Where does your passion for women's basketball come from?
Yeah, I mean, I played basketball my whole life through high school, and I adored it. I loved it. I admired Coach Summit at Tennessee. I went to camp there every year. Just really, really loved it. I loved A&M as a university, so I came up to games. I'm from Katy, Texas, so 55 minutes away, so I got to come to some games. But just something that's given me so much in my life, and then especially after working here, it was pretty evident right away. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
If the things that you're doing for A&M women's basketball that involve our fans, remind us again what those are and how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so our Fast Break Club is our official booster club of Texas A&M women's basketball. So there's all different levels of giving to be a part of that club. Try to make it accessible for all of our families in town and out of town. So that information is on 12thman.com under the women's basketball tab. There's actually a Fast Break Club tab that'll lead you right to that. But if not, my email is also on the website, crichardson@athletics.tamu.edu.
Excellent. Christina, great stuff. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve.
You survived.
All right.
Good job. Christina Richardson, everybody. We're live at Rudy's Barbecue. It's the Joni Taylor Radio Show from Learfield. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to give you a VIP Aggie basketball fan experience this year. Go to 12thman.com/maroon contest and register. One winner and a guest will receive game tickets, hotel accommodations, autographed memorabilia, and more. Register today at 12thman.com/maroon contest. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. We are back. It's the Joni Taylor Radio Show. We're here at Rudy's Barbecue on Harvey Road. We're here every Tuesday night, pretty much the rest of the season from 6 until 7 o'clock, talking women's basketball. A&M going to take on LSU this Thursday night, 8 o'clock in Baton Rouge. And then Sunday, back at Reed Arena, Ole Miss at 2 o'clock. And with Joni Taylor, I'm Steve Miller, and we were just admiring our kids over there having an arts and crafts segment going on. And if this was TV, we would have them present their art, but it's radio, so too bad. Sorry, ladies. We'll grade those at a different time. But right behind them, we've got some very important people. Tell us about your parents who were here.
My mom and dad are here, Dr. Harvey Crenshaw and Jonas Crenshaw. They're in town with us.
What's the impact they have on your family?
Well, they have pretty much stopped their life to help us manage ours, my parents and Darius's parents. And so really, when we got pregnant with JC, I called my mom, and they retired, both retired educators, and they were doing some consulting work. And I called them and said, hey, obviously we're going to need some help. And we are prepared to hire a nanny and bring somebody in to be with us full time. But before we do that, is it something that you guys are interested in doing? And I don't remember exactly how that conversation went, but of course, they said yes pretty quickly. And so fast forward, and really since we've had JC, they have on and off lived with us, and more on than off. And so it's funny, I don't remember who asked me this, but when we decided to come to College Station, somebody said, well, what about your parents? Are they going to come? How are you going to get them to come? I said, they're called JC and Drew. That's how they're coming. I wasn't worried at all if they were coming to College Station. They think that JC and Drew are there. So,
yeah, no, that's such an important factor to have is that family help and well documented that you had, if not one, both your children during the season. Yeah. And so you need even additional, help to keep, I would think, just sane at that time.
Well, one of the things that I did when we knew that we were, getting pregnant and having a baby was just, be where your feet are. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to take myself down this rabbit hole of I missed this and I missed that, because there's going to be a ton that I am going to miss. But when you know that it's your parents or your, mother-in-law and your father-in-law that is taking care of them, there's an extra degree of comfort that you have, and just really fortunate at Georgia and here that, they allow our parents to travel. They're part of our travel party. Obviously, JC's in kindergarten now, so they're not traveling as much. But it also makes me feel a ton better to know that they are with us on the road, and so they can at least see what mommy is doing. And so it makes me feel a ton better. So just really grateful. Don't know how I could have done it. How we continue to do it, if they weren't involved. Like last night I got home at 9:50, they were asleep. And this morning I left the house and they were still asleep. So, there's times that I'm in town, but I could go days without seeing them because they're asleep when I get home, and then I leave the house in the morning before they wake up.
Do they? Your parents want to become full-time residents of College Station?
They are. They just don't know it. Just
let them know.
Let them
what happened?
Let them keep thinking that they live in Mississippi. They live here. They live here.
All right, we've got to get a timeout in. We'll come back to talk more about the SEC and the upcoming games. It's the Joni Taylor Radio Show. We're live at Rudy's Barbecue from Learfield. The Texas A&M women will be in Baton Rouge Thursday, 8 p.m., taking on number 7 LSU. And then on Sunday, the Aggies host Ole Miss, 2 o'clock, Reed Arena. Hope to see everybody out for that game. We need a final timeout. We'll take it. We're live from Rudy's Barbecue. It's the Joni Taylor Radio Show from Learfield. This copyrighted broadcast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield. Under the broadcasting rights granted by Texas A&M University, reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the express written consent of Texas A&M University and Learfield. Announcers are provided by Learfield and Texas A&M University. We're back at our remaining moments with Coach Taylor. I'm Steve Miller. It's the Joni Taylor Radio Show. We're here at Rudy's Barbecue every Tuesday night from 6 until 7 o'clock. And next Wednesday, we've got Beyond Basketball returning. Anything special planned yet for Beyond Basketball?
Absolutely. You know, this is a time where we have our players. You guys are getting, firsthand information here. We haven't announced this yet. January is a month where we have our players do a panel because school has not started back yet, so they are able to come to the 8 o'clock meeting. And so we'll have about 4 or 5 of our players, and we'll have our members send in questions they want us to ask, and then we'll save some time for live questions. So our players will be the featured speakers next Wednesday morning at Beyond Basketball. And Beyond Basketball is community and networking opportunity for women in the Brazos Valley, and second Wednesday of every month through May 10th. And Angela Jones on the staff of the women's basketball office is the guru behind all that. So questions, concerns, complaints, congratulations. Just take them all to Angela. She'll accept them all, get you pointed in the right direction. All right, got 2 games this week. Got LSU Thursday, Ole Miss on Sunday. LSU's got Freshman of the Week. Yeah. Flau'jae Jones. She's pretty good. She's pretty good. She's a rapper. Did you know that? Oh, I had no idea. She's like signed to Jay-Z's like Rock Nation. She's a big-time rapper. Yeah. Oh, yeah, wow. She's a rapper. She, I was looking at her numbers. She had last week averaged 15 points and 9.5 rebounds. And they played Vandy and Arkansas. And Arkansas, no slackers at all. Yeah, no, they're really good. They are number 1 in the country in free throw attempts. They get to the line 27 times a game, make 18. They're number 2 in the country in offensive rebounds. They average 24 offensive rebounds a game. They are led by Angel Reese, a transfer from Maryland. She averages 24 points. She's had a double-double in every single game they've played this year. So LSU is one of 5 teams that are still undefeated. There's 5 teams in the country that are still undefeated, and LSU is one of them. So Angel Reese, 15 rebounds too. Yeah. She is. Her best shot is her second shot and her third shot. So it's going to be a similar, formula to South Carolina. We've got to box her out and not let her get her second shot. Her game is unorthodox. It's quirky, but it's efficient and it works for her. And she's got a really, really high motor. She plays really, really hard, and so she's really, leading that team. We're just going to tease the pregame radio show here. You can dial in at 7:45, and one of the questions that Joni is going to be asked is what's quirky about shooting in the PMAC. So you can just nod and say, yep, that's going to be a question. We're not going to answer now. You'll have to tune in to the pregame show to do that. But that's a real question, right? It's a real question. We're going there to shoot tomorrow night. Going early. All right. So we got Ole Miss coming in on Sunday. Their net rankings 35 right now, 13-3 overall. They beat Auburn and then won at Mississippi State. They've got Vandy on Thursday. What do we need to know about Ole Miss? Another team that's going to press us, similar to what Florida did. They're long, they're athletic, they've got shooters, and they've got Madison Scott inside that anchors them. So an experienced team with explosive guards and just going to present us with length and athleticism. Kids are back to school now? Drew went back today, and JC goes back tomorrow. So, yeah, back to school. Ladies, you guys ready for school? Yes? No, we have some no's also at the table. No. Elizabeth doesn't. We have a lot of no's, like the break wasn't long enough or something. All right, well, that is great. Quick update on the injuries situation. That seems to be the topic of our season. Well, Sydney Roby had surgery last Thursday. She stayed at home. She's from Milwaukee, and they are family friends with the Milwaukee Bucks doctor. So the Milwaukee Bucks surgeon did her surgery. She had a successful surgery. It was a full repair. She goes back on today. Today's the 3rd. She went back today for post-op, just another look, and she is then making her way back here. Jania's wrist is healing. It's moving in the right direction. It's not completely healed, but it's moving in the right direction. So she's starting to do some dribbling. She still has some pain when she shoots it, And Tanea is out of the boot, and so we're hoping that as her rehab continues to progress, she will, be able to join us again soon as well.
If you had a season like that where you've had that many players end up with injuries that aren't just a couple of week deals,
Yeah. As an assistant at Georgia, my first year at Georgia, we had 6 players. That was when Meredith Mitchell, our director of operations, was a senior. We played with 6.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, we played with 6, but never as a head coach, yeah.
Well, welcome to A&M.
Thank you.
There you go. All right. Thank you for joining us, Joni. We'll see you tomorrow as we head off to LSU. And the Aggies taking on LSU on Thursday night.
Thank you.
All right. Our thanks to Christina Richardson and to Sydney Bowles. Our engineers, Kevin Minchow. Also to Chase and then Nate back in Jefferson City. For Coach Taylor, I'm Steve Miller. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for joining us out here. This has been the Joni Taylor Radio Show from Learfield.